Hi everyone, it's Alice. So today I will show you the first 3 books I've read this month. And yeah, I didn't feel like doing a book haul at all, so I'm just basically going to show you the first 3 books and the 2 books I'm reading at the moment, and then I'll make another video later in the month to tell you what I thought about these other books. So the first book I've read is the last book of the trilogy I told you about several times now, so it's Acceptance, so the 3rd book of the Southern Reach trilogy by Vandermeer. So you already know that I really liked the first 2 books. I really enjoyed them, and this one made no exception. So I think the first book is maybe with the 3rd book, because I really liked this book too, my favorite. The 2nd book was a little bit less interesting, a bit slower, I think. I don't know. It didn't work as well, but still, like, as part of the whole trilogy, I thought it was quite nice anyway. So I was thinking maybe I'll do like a completely different video just to talk about this trilogy, because I feel like I have so many things to say and I don't want to take too much time, and at the same time I need to also like make some kind of good points I can tell you about, because otherwise it's just like something a bit messy. And anyway, I feel sometimes when I say things it's just too messy and you might not get what I want to say, so I will have to work on that. But basically, as I explained the first 2 times for the 1st and 2nd books, so we're following this area X where we don't really know what's happening. Laws don't apply there, and things are just weird, and people go there and they're changed forever, or they never come back, and this area just changes everything with life. We don't know exactly how or why, but anyway, and this 3rd book is looking more at the origins of the thing, so 30 years before it happened, basically when it first started, and it's very interesting. So the reason why I like this trilogy as much, I think, is because I've never read anything like that. It is so strange and so different. Like, everything you think you know, you don't know. If you don't like science fiction, I would recommend this book, because it's kind of science fiction, but it's so different to most science fiction books I've read. It's really different. It could be classified as horror in a sense, because it can be very scary by moments, but it's not, you know, like, it's not the point of the book. The book is not, you know, like, I don't think the point is to scare people, not at all. It's just that the whole thing is so strange and so alien that, yes, it is a bit scary because you don't understand it. But I think the strangeness and just like, it's so well done. Like, for people who love science fiction, I think it would be a great book too, because it changes a little bit too. Like, it's just like, it's not normal science fiction, I would say. And what I think is great with Vandermeer is that basically you're still on Earth, and yet you get this feeling of something that's happening that you don't understand. Like, you don't understand what's happening at all. And I think this is well, I don't know, it's amazing that he managed to create that feeling while we're still supposed to be on Earth. Like, because many science fiction novels, I think it's just, even if you're on another planet or things are still familiar, like you have, you know, humans, or you have things that look like humans, or, you know, and this is just, I think it's so good. Like, in a way it is so realistic to what something else, another life could look like, or how things might work on another planet. But yeah, anyway, I'm not going to say too much about it, but I was a bit frustrated when I finished the book, because it's one of this open ending, so you can basically interpret it as you want, and I like these endings usually, but I like when it's like not too open. Like, for instance, you can choose between 1 or 2 options, and this one, it's a bit wider. And I'm not going to say too much about it if you haven't read it. In the end now, it's been like, I don't know, a few weeks, maybe 2 weeks since I finished it. I'm quite happy about it after all, because I don't know, I think I have a few hypotheses, and I think they all work pretty well, so for me at least. Anyway, so if you have read it, I would be very interested to know what you think of it, or if you have just started one, or if you're thinking about it. Well, yeah, it's just because I don't know anybody who has been reading this novels yet. And yeah, I'd be very interested to see what you think, guys. And yeah, so definitely something I would like to own. So because this is a library copy, so I think I'll probably buy the trilogy at some point. It's both fascinating and very strange, and you just want to know more about this world, and I think Jeff Vandermeer is doing an amazing job with this trilogy, and I'm really glad I read it, because it's, yeah, as I said, so different to everything else I've been reading, and I think sometimes it's just nice to read something completely different. So here it is for this one. The second book I've read I've also really enjoyed, so that's Please Look After Mom by Kyung-Sook Shin. And so this book I saw on Jen Campbell booktube channel, and I've been following Jen for a long time now, because I think most books she read I really like. I really enjoy the same type of books that she read usually, like not always, but yeah. And so she recommended this book and said that it was amazing, and so I was like, oh well, the theme I really liked, so I was thinking, yeah, I'll try and find it, and I did, so thank you, library. So basically it's another of this novels where you have several voices, so several narrators, and I really enjoy that, because I think it's just great. I just love it. So we follow this family, and the mother and the father, so they're elderly people, and they're going to visit their son in the city, so they live in kind of the countryside. And as they are entering the subway, the father goes inside the train, and he doesn't see it straight away, but his wife is not behind him, so she couldn't get in on the train at the same time, so he just goes take the other train to go back to the station where she was, but he can't find her, so just looking for her everywhere, and 1 week passes and another one passes, and still they can't find her. So that's the story of the whole family. I think they have 5 kids, looking for the mother, so printing flyers and just walking in the streets and trying to find their mother, because I mean, she's an older woman, and they just want to know what's happening to her, and where is she and what's happened. So I thought the theme was very interesting, because I mean, that's something that could really happen to an older person. So I really liked the writing. So I should say who translated it. I forgot to do that. So it's translated from the Korean by Kim, and I think the translation is quite good. I didn't really felt the translation. Like sometimes you can really, like you can feel that the text has been translated, and here it was quite smooth, so I enjoyed that. And I thought the writing was just amazing, very well written. It's just a very nice story about relationships in a family. So basically you have the few kids in here talking about their mother and coming back into their childhood, and how their mother was, influenced them in a way. So basically it's a story about being a mother, and also being a child, and how you look at your mum, and what you realize when you're a kid, but at the same time you don't realize, and you realize later when you're a parent yourself, or when you're older. And I thought this is just, I love this type of books. I just think it's just amazing when you can just study the relationships between people into one family, and how things evolve. So this was definitely a great book. I'm really happy I read it, and I would definitely recommend it. The third book I read, I did not enjoy at all. So I think it's mostly because of the writing. I just didn't connect with it at all, and even the story was quite strange in the end. Like I didn't like it. So basically it's 2 short stories in there, so I've only read the first one because that was the one I was interested in, and since I didn't like it, I didn't feel like reading the second one. So that was The Beauty by Aliya Whiteley, I think she's called. Yes. And so basically it's in a world where women have all died, so it's only a world of men. So I think they died in the novel 6 years ago, so it was not that old. But yeah, all women, all girls, no female at all on this world, so it's only men. And then at some point you have these mushrooms that starts growing on the graves of the women, and something happens at that point, and yeah, something kind of come back, but I won't say more than that. Anyway, it's very, very, very strange, but not strange in a good way, like, I don't know, like strange, creepy, but strange, like we don't explain at all anything, it doesn't kind of make sense, and I feel like I didn't really get the message of this book. Like, I don't know, I tried, but I just didn't, yeah, get what the author was saying, if there was kind of a metaphor for something else. I don't know if you've read it, like I'd be interested to see what you have thought about it. Like, it's not that I didn't hate it, I just didn't, you know, like, I didn't really like it. I still read it. I mean, it was quite short, so, but yeah, so not really interested in that one. And then the two books I'm reading at the moment, so I have one science book with me. So yeah, usually I read one book at a time. So what I do is I read one book, just one at a time, and then I start another one as soon as I finish the book. But when I'm reading science books, I just like to read several books at the same time, because sometimes I feel like when you're reading science stuff, you can't read it all the time. Like, at some point you just have to have something a bit lighter, or, you know, that you can focus on something lighter, because, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm stupid, I don't know. But yeah, I just like it when I can really focus on what I'm reading and understand, because sometimes you're just rereading the same sentences twice or three times to get it, and you're picturing things in your mind. Anyway, so this science book is The Vital Question by Nick Lane. So I never heard about that author before, but I think he's doing great, at least that's far. I've only read 60 pages, so here you go. It doesn't look like a big book, but it is quite dense in the end. Like, it's written, oh shit, I've lost my bookmark. Oh, here you go. Anyway, so this book is this book I picked at the library. I was just passing by, and I thought, oh, I'll just go and, there's a mosquito, and have a look at this section, and I picked this one up, and I thought it would be very, very interesting. So it looks at the question, like the vital question. So why is life the way it is? So how did we evolve to be how we are, so humans, and all this complicated forms of life nowadays? So because at the beginning it was just one form of very simple life, and then it evolved into something much more complicated, and there is this kind of hole in biology that can't explain how we got there. You know, like, there is no transition really, so we don't really understand what happened. And I think it also looks, yeah, basically at the origins of life, and it's very, very interesting. I'm really interested in that subject, and I think it's just, I don't know, very important to know about it, because it concerns all of us, not only us as humans, but us as just beings, because, I don't know, I feel like, as I said in my friend video, I'm really passionate about science and all this sort of stuff, like how do we evolve, and what is life, and what does it mean, you know, to be living really. And I don't understand how you could not be interested by that subject, but it's just me, because I think, you know, it concerns all of us, so I'm getting a little bit excited about that stuff most times. But anyway, I think it's great so far. As I said, I've only read 60 pages, but it's very detailed, so I would say it would be good if you have some basics about science, because it's not very complicated, but still you have a few terms that explains briefly, and you could probably understand if you're smarter than me anyway. But for me, I've found it, because I've studied a little bit more science before, so I've found it, you know, very useful that I knew all this stuff already, because I can just, you know, kind of understand. Anyway, as I said, I'm still reading the same sentences sometimes 2, 3, 4 times to get what he's trying to say, but very, very interesting. And then the second book I'm reading at the moment, I've just started this morning, so it was a recommendation from someone not that long ago who told me that he thought I could probably like that book. So I was supposed to read it in French, but then I went to the library and they had it in English, so I thought, oh yeah, well, I'll just read it in English then. So it's The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini, and yeah, never really read anything by this author, even if I have heard of him before, and this one is quite famous apparently. and it's a classic, so I've just started it and read a few pages this morning and it looks great, so I'm really happy to read it. As far as I know, I haven't really read the little blurb at the end, but basically it's about these two boys who are friends and how their friendship is going to affect their life in a way. But as I said, I don't really know what's happening. I've just read 30 pages or 20 pages this morning, and yeah, it talks about Amir and Hassan. They live in Afghanistan, and we follow Amir, so he's the narrator, and he's a bit older, and then we go back in a flashback into his childhood and how everything started, his friendship with Hassan when he was a bit younger. So yeah, I'll tell you a little bit more when I've read it, but I think I'm going to really enjoy it because the writing is very good so far, and I think the story looks like it's going to be a nice story too. So that's it for me today. I will make another video soonish when I've read these two books I've been reading, I told you about, and also a few more things if I manage. And yeah, well, let me know as usual if you have read any of these books or if you want to read them or what you have been reading in this month, and see you soon.